let's just play this Joe Rogan thing. It's pretty funny. And then we will go into the fun half. Apparently, David Pakman was on the Joe Rogan show sometime in the past couple of days, and they were talking about the demonetizing of Steven Crowder. And, we'll have more to talk about this in the fun half because, to me, just the idea that this is censorship is just absurd, particularly in Steven Crowder's case. I suppose theoretically, if there are people who are only relying on you, I just don't think it's when you demonetize somebody. Suppose if you deplatform somebody, you could say that they're being censored in some fashion. But to demonetize, to me, doesn't seem that way at all. But here is Joe Rogan asking if harassing Carlos Maza has an equivalency on the left. And I will say this, that the harassment of Carlos Maza, I think, has been overstated as a reason for YouTube's action. I think it's just the general gay bashing, which has been problematic. Michael yesterday read the terms of service of YouTube, and there are protected classes of people in our society. Their protections are only not as individuals, but as classes of people. So, let's use this as a jumping off point. Here is David Pakman with Joe Rogan.
Is that different, in your opinion, than someone singling something out for what you believe is their mental incompetency?
Well, mental incompetent. Do you mean that they're ignorant, or that they're mentally ill or cognitively limited?
Cognitively limited, mocking their ability to think, mocking their intelligence, mocking their decisions, mocking the way they talk, and then encouraging other people to do the same thing. And then that person gets harassed based on their intelligence, based on their performance on particular YouTube videos and conversations. And there's active harassers. There's people that do that. Is there a difference between, say, what Sam Seder does to Dave Rubin?
What does Sam do to Dave Rubin?
He has...
I don't know that I've seen that video.
Dozens of videos. Don't say that video. He has dozens of videos where he's just dunking on Dave Rubin.
So, I have some as well. I believe that they are substantive. That's my view, is that my videos about Dave Rubin are substantive. Mm-hmm. I don't really watch any left-wing stuff because I want to try to isolate myself enough to make sure that what I'm saying are my ideas and that I'm not taking them. So Sam's a friend of mine.
Sounds like a comic.
And that's interesting. Yeah,
comics do that.
I don't know, but if there's some specific examples, we could comment about them. But I think that to your first question, there is a difference between going after someone for sexual orientation, right, than going after them for the fact that they say things that are wrong or don't know stuff, until you're making fun of someone who has an actual handicap of some kind of, cognitive limitation that would be a disability of some kind. Then you are mocking someone for a disability.
But the resulting effect of the harassment, see, this is what I was getting at before with Crowder. Like, what Crowder said was one thing, but one of the things that Carlos Mesa was discussing was what the people that had watched Crowder, what they were doing, how they were going after.
All right. Well,
raises some serious questions about our ethical responsibilities if Dave Rubin is indeed a touched individual.
Well, yeah, and I don't think that Dave Rubin is, has any type of particular limitations beyond what appears to be a lack of research or reasoning or thoughtfulness about what he does. Now,
sounds like a limitation.
Let me just address a couple of things. One, it's true. We do have dozens of videos dunking on Dave Rubin, but it is not because Dave Rubin is anything other than a commentator who is saying stuff that is nonsensical. I don't criticize Dave Rubin for anything other than either misrepresenting the truth, being completely unknowledgeable, but very confident about putting out opinions about stuff. misrepresenting his positions and for laundering people who have really horrible detrimental effects on society. The idea that Dave Rubin is harassed online, I'm not worried about Maza being harassed online. People get harassed online all the time. I'm not even like worried about the doxing insofar as it relates to Steven Crowder, because Steven Crowder, at least as far as I know, has not called for him to be doxed. I think that would be irresponsible. The problem with what Crowder has done is and I think, basically it said this the other day before Rogan had made this point. When you are attacking someone based on the fact that they're gay, or that they're of a certain ethnicity or a color or religion, whatever it is, gender, disability, you are poisoning society in a way that has implications for hundreds of thousands, sometimes millions of people. You are impacting the structure of society by criticizing and dunking on Dave Rubin because he keeps saying things that are not bright on YouTube, or are demonstrably wrong, or are demonstrably misinformed, or are demonstrable misrepresentations, does not have the societal implications. Well, I don't care if people call me names, and
also I just want to really underline it too, that even if Crowder did a bunch of videos saying, I think Carlos Mesa's dumb and I'm going to refute his points and make fun of him and do an offensive impression, that is still, first of all, that would not be an issue, and it is perfectly not what he's legitimate. Doing that got him on the radar.
Well, according to Joe Rogan,
it's not.
We are being ableist towards Dave Rubin.
Well, that's the thing I do want to say is I think Joe is opening up, especially for those of us in the studio who are more worried about these things, a very concerning point, which I have thought of from time to time myself, which is that if Dave has a real limitation, I'd like him to publicly say that. I will certainly change up at least my programming.
But we're not. Okay. If you're saying that he has some type of disability, but I don't think that. Maybe he does.
That's what I'm saying is I don't know. That was never articulated in that way in terms of Dave before, and I don't want to. That would put a whole different paint job on it for me.
I believe the phrase Joe Rogan used was cognitively limited.
If Dave Rubin is cognitively limited, then I will do a slightly different impression.
But I'm not even. I don't. Maybe we have. We have. In passing, said that he's cognitively limited. In reference to explain what he said, and maybe that is going a little too far. We could just simply say that he's just horribly ignorant to the issues, which I think is actually in many respects, and I've made this clear, I think even more reprehensible. Because you have a responsibility, in my mind, if you're going to go on with, whatever he has, 1 million followers on YouTube, you've got to do your homework, and you have a responsibility. But that's the way I feel about that.
Yeah, and to be clear, the issue is the specific incitement around the specific category. Not mocking somebody, not making fun of them, not debunking them, not being mean, not being satiric, not having people tweet at them or whatever. It's the specific use. And again, even according in an incredibly strict sense, and I know we'll talk about it more later, but huge miscalculation by YouTube. They had a case, which is all Carlos Mesa asked for, on one person who in fact violated their own written terms of service, which you agree to these stupid things when you set up a channel. That's it. There's actually should be really nothing more to it as of this case.
Right. All right.